I'm Neil from the Starling Tribune, a proud member of the Gonna Geek Network, just like the one you're listening to now. The opinions expressed are those of the individual host. Check out all the other great podcasts at gonnageek.com and get ready because geekiness begins in 3, 2, 1.
This is it. The part of your week where you get to put your headphones on, relax, and listen to a bunch of geeks geek out about geeky things. They're witty.
He loves him some Katy Perry because she kissed a girl and she liked it.
They're crazy.
I like Nickelback personally, but, I'm the fuddy-duddy who likes episode 1.
And sometimes they leave you wondering, what the f***?
I'm pretty sure that here we were starting the hashtag movement, Bring Back Slave Ferrell.
Gonna Geek Productions presents the official GonnaGeek.com show.
Good evening and welcome to episode 197 of the official GonnaGeek.com show. I am Stephen Jondrew, and with me, of course, is the one and only Chris Ferrell.
Howdy.
We also have, of course, Stargate, Pioneer. His first name is Pioneer.
Maybe. New glasses, by the way. New glasses, no glare. And I can see the screen. It's all good.
Did you put the anti-glare on there just because you do video podcasts?
I did. I actually went up a couple of levels because of the podcasting.
So let's just recap this right now. Your podcast hobby, the hobby which you make no money for.
That's right.
Cost you several $100s in eyewear.
No, it wasn't that bad. I have a supplemental insurance for my vision, so I only had to ante up $50 for the anti-glare.
Wow.
Oh, totally worth it.
Yeah, totally worth it, especially because I was about to kick you off of this show just because they were glaring so much.
Just like I just kicked you off better podcasting.
Yeah, absolutely.
As mine are glaring right now.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like I need glasses now to glare. But no, we are here with another edition of the GonnaGeek.com show. We record this live on Mondays at 5:45 p.m. Pacific time. That's 8:45 p.m. Eastern time at www.geeks.live. And if you like to check that out, there's lots of other amazing geeky content there, including the show that airs usually on Wednesdays, which is Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. That is Stargate Pioneer show. And guess what? He also does it on Sundays. Say what?
I do. We moved it to Sundays because we're having the ABC move the episodes to Friday. So we're going to do the main podcast on Sunday because we have so much backlog with Netflix series and FX series and everything else that we're doing not one, but 2 episodes a week. And the second episode each week will be on Thursday nights right now. We might move it to Tuesdays, but right now it's Thursday nights. So not 1, but 2 nights a week. And that starts next week.
Wow. Well, you are a trooper because I could not even take on another podcast unless I was really motivated about the topic. So I don't know. Maybe if I find the right topic to motivate me, I'll add another podcast to my routine. But for now, I am good with my 2. I
2?
do.
You just have 1 now, buddy.
Oh, that's true. I was kicked off better podcasting, which is fine. So much easier that way.
Boy, I got an offer for you then. How do you feel about being the executive producer for All Things Good and Nerdy? Because I don't want to do it.
Well, I was thinking about that, but then I was feeling like I should just do another geek show, like Gonna Geek News or something, but I'd want to make sure that it's in a central place. So I don't know. Well, I'll think about that. But let's go ahead and move on here.
I imagine you're feeling a little blue since you got kicked off your other show, though, Steven.
I am blue.
I like your idea for a Gonna Geek News in a central location.
Okay, yeah. Maybe I'll run with that. But let's go ahead and move on to our first topic. Here we go. Okay, so we started the episode last week with the sad news of Adam West's passing, and there's a bit of a update today, well, this weekend about it, and I'm going to turn it over here to Stargate Pioneer to talk about this, and then we'll get to our regular news stuff after that.
I don't know about you guys, but I was an avid watcher of the Powerless show, which was a DC sitcom, half-an-hour sitcom show on NBC. NBC pulled it, I believe, with 2 episodes left. I'm not sure. And everybody was wondering, when are we going to see these episodes? Well, little did we know that the season finale, and now obviously the series finale, because the show's been canceled, of Powerless had starred as a guest role Adam West. So NBC and DC Comics said, hey, look, we can't keep this to ourselves anymore. We just want to get it out there because we want to pay tribute to Adam West. So what they did is they just threw it up on YouTube. So you can watch it commercial free on YouTube, the final episode of Powerless with Adam West as basically a senior Batman, executive level sort of Batman, but it's there. And if you have any sort of desire to see Adam West in one of his last roles or the season finale of Powerless or both, go over to YouTube and check that out.
Now, I have not watched Powerless, but this has me very intrigued. And I gotta say, like, big credit to them for throwing it up there. I think that was such a respectful and nice thing to do. And they could have withheld it. Like, let's be honest, they could have done that, but they did put that up there. So I gotta give them kudos here. I'll give them a bell, too.
Yeah, not only did they put it up there, but it wasn't just on the NBC streaming site. They put it on YouTube, which is ubiquitous to everybody. So I got to give them kudos for that. That was the right thing to do in this particular case. And I'm glad they just followed through and did the right thing. And I just appreciated, I watched it and because I watched the rest of the series and it was a pretty good episode and it was a nice ending spot. So headcanon accepted. It was good to see Adam West one last time. And thank you very much to both NBC and DC Comics.
I wonder if they geo-blocked it. Meaning basically if you're outside of North America, you can't watch it. Because that happens on some YouTube stuff, is that they region block it because some regions might not have the rights for it. So I hope they didn't in this case, but with the fact it's one of their television properties, albeit canceled, I'm kind of afraid that might have been the case. I hope not.
It is loading right now for me. So
okay,
I'm in Canada, and usually Canada does have that stuff blocked, which is actually, quite honestly surprising because they do have, someone else has the rights in Canada. So that's usually why it gets blocked. But I don't know. Very cool. Very cool. And again, I didn't watch the show. It was only a season, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But
a short season too. It was only like 13 episodes.
Yeah.
That's cool though that they did that. Chris, anything else you want to say on this before we move on to the news?
Glad that they did it. I'll pull it up on my YouTube tonight as I'm going to bed and watch it.
All right, well, let's go ahead and move on to our regular hijinks. When I first saw this news article, I said, Chris, what did you do?
I didn't do anything, but guys, we all know the Spider-Man movie rights, it's a tangled web here, trying to figure out who owns what can we do? A little bit of background. When Captain America Civil War came out, Sony made a deal with Marvel, or Marvel made a deal with Sony. Regardless, an agreement came into place where they could use Spider-Man in Civil War, and in return, Marvel would co-produce a Spider-Man Sony movie that exists in the MCU. Well, things get interesting because if you go back a few years ago, Sony had been talking about wanting to do spin-off movies with characters like Silver Sable and Venom. And I think a few weeks ago, we talked about the fact that Sony's going to move forward doing a Venom picture with Tom Hardy in the role as Eddie Brock, which led to a lot of us scratching our heads and going, huh? How are they going to do that if they're going to do this? Because Marvel didn't get the rights back to Venom. They're just sharing the rights to Spider-Man. How are they going to make this exist? Is it going to happen in the MCU universe? What is going on? Well, it's really confusing and things have shifted around a little bit, but Amy Pascal, a producer over at Sony, was interviewed by Film Start and said that they are going to exist in the same universe, the MCU. According to her, both movies, that being Silver Sable and Venom, will take place in the world that we are creating for Peter Parker. There'll be adjuncts to it. They may be in different locations, but it will all be in the same world, and it'll all be connected as well. When asked if that meant that Peter Parker could appear in Sony's spin-off films, she offered an optimistic tease, saying, "There's always a chance. I think one of the things that Kevin has done with Marvel that's so brilliant is bringing the fans along and moving each movie and making each movie feel like a chapter in a book, that you have to read that chapter in order to go forward. And I think that investment that fans got to feel in part of being a larger story, understanding what's happening, is something Sony would want to emulate. So that sounds cool. We're going to have Venom. We're going to have Silver Sable. There's some kind of connection to the MCU, except maybe we're not, because I'm really confused here. Because last week, Kevin Feige did an interview with Allocine and said that the characters in movies like Venom would not be part of the MCU. Marvel Studios had explicitly confirmed it would remain a part of Sony's universe with no connection to Marvel. In the interview, he said point blank, no plans to include Venom in the MCU right now. That is Sony's project. And if you want more backup on that, Spider-Man Homecoming director John Watts told Fandango a few months ago there's no overlap between the universes. When asked, he said it's not connected to the Marvel world, so that's really intriguing what that will be. I don't know anything about it. It's not connected, so there's not that overlap. I'm only focused on my movie right now. So guys, I have no idea what's happening here. We know Sony's getting a little cash greedy and liking the fact that people love Spider-Man. Things are trending upwards for Spider-Man Homecoming. It's looking at somewhere between a $90 to $105 million domestic opening here in the United States. But we don't know what's going on with these characters. Sony seems to say that Silver Sable and Venom are going to exist in the MCU, and Marvel, who controls the MCU, are like, haha, no, they're not. So the question I have for you guys is this a big con? Are they playing us to get us interested? Is there going to be a deal worked out later down the line? Or is this literally just Sony and Marvel can't get on the same page right now? What do you guys think is happening?
I got an answer for this. Let me remind you about why exactly Marvel and Sony made this deal. Because Sony was in a lot of trouble and with their properties, and Marvel really, really, really wanted Spider-Man. So Sony approached Marvel and said, okay, let's work it out. And guess what? We'll end up benefiting from this because we'll get coin and we'll own our rights. So there you go. And I think that's what's happening here. Is it's a bit of a standoff, because if Marvel shows any interest in there, it just increases Sony's leverage.
Marvel didn't help anything either, because in the comic world, they're spawning off 2 new Spider-Man books here in the next few weeks. You know, one comes out, I believe, in 2 days, and the other one comes out in a couple of weeks. And these are big, huge Sony. One's a Peter Parker book, and the other's a Next Generation Miles Morales book. So these are 2 of their bigger Spider-Man properties. And granted, it's the comic book world, but they were trying to capitalize on the movie. And I think Sony, it's just a big corporate game on who's going to blink first, who's going to play chicken, who's going to win, who's going to lose. It's all about the money, guys. Yeah. Take a look at what the Marvel Comics are doing to Fox with the mutants right now. They brought the Inhumans in a long time ago, and they are just decimating the X-Men and minimizing them while still trying to get money off of the few books that are left. And they just did the reboot with, you know, X-Men Blue and Gold, and there's a few other books out there as well, but it's by far not anything what it once was. And they're still trying to stay profitable while still giving Fox ever dwindling stories of which they can pull for their movies. So you've got Sony, you've got Fox, you've got, I believe, Universal's in there with Hulk rights. I mean, Marvel movie rights are just a mess. And the reason, by the way, we've talked about it before, is because in the late 90s, early 2000s, Marvel went bankrupt, and they had to spin off all these movie rights in order to stay viable.
Yep.
We forgot about the ultimate FU that Marvel did a couple years ago, which was when when Fantastic Four, the movie, was coming out, they canceled the book. Like a month before the movie came out, they canceled the Fantastic Four book, and the Fantastic Four just went and disappeared in the negative zone.
Yeah, we have seen some of the characters in some of the books here and there, but like the Human Torch, we've seen him, but as an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., but we haven't really seen the Fantastic Four altogether ever since. And it is a different world in Marvel right now, and I can't help but believe a lot of these creative choices are being made not because they want to make them, but because they want to make the business choices behind them.
So I tend to think they're going to come to some kind of agreement here to make them be shared. But when I look at what Marvel has done with a very structured, thought out approach to what the MCU is going to look like, sure, they planned for Spider-Man. I'm sure there's no plans currently for Venom, for Silver Sable, things like that. So I'm not sure if I'm Marvel, I want 2 characters getting dropped into my universe that aren't part of, for lack of a better term, the MCU Bible that we've developed that figures out the long-term plan for everything. So I think there's going to be a period of negotiation. And honestly, it all comes down to whatever deal was made to bring Spider-Man into the MCU. If it was only Spider-Man, I don't really think Sony can kind of force the hand and be like, oh, we're sharing the rights on this, but we're going to force them together into their own world.
It's not just Marvel and the other big movie studios as well. Even though it's owned by Marvel, Marvel is disassociating their Netflix world from their big world. Yes, there is talk about what's going on in each universe, but you're never going to see Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man in a Netflix series. You're just not going to have that. So there's not going to be that crossover. And they talked about this for years now on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as well. So you could feasibly have this Fox MCU tiny pocket universe out there that references back to the main MCU, but is never actually connected. It's the way that all the other Marvel properties are running right now too.
Well, I personally wish that Marvel had gotten just Spider-Man rights back. I wish they had just were able to convince Sony of that. I think it would have made it a lot easier. But
their most popular superhero character, they're just going to sell back. In a dream world, that'd be great. But
I know, even
when the Spider-Man movies sucked, as in the last 2 with Andrew Garfield, they still brought in money, both foreign and domestic money. So there's no way they're gonna be like, oh, here you go, take it back. It's not like Daredevil or Ghost Rider where they just let the rights lapse and Marvel got them back.
And it was just a few years ago where Spider-Man eclipsed Batman worldwide in earnings for toys and secondary merchandise. Yeah, Sony's gonna keep on to that.
Yeah, I know I'll never get it, but I guess I'll just have to be happy with what I've got now. It just gets a whole lot confusing when all of a sudden we're in the situation that we're talking about right now. So anyways, I guess time will tell what happens. When will Marvel sell all of their rights, all of the rights that they are using right now to Sony? You know what's going to happen.
Disney selling to Sony?
Yeah.
Maybe it, and that is if California falls into the ocean.
You mean when?
All right. So speaking of things changing, let's talk briefly about how things are changing in my home country of Canada. That's right. If you have bought a cell phone within the last 15 years, you probably would have noticed that it is locked. It is often locked to the carrier that you bought it from because they like to have it locked over to the carrier, so then you stay more with them for the whole subsidy thing, all this other stuff. Well, guess what? In Canada, that is changing because as one of the recent changes that the governing body, the CRTC, has come out and said, they are going to remove all unlocking fees from Canada. Now, this is something that a few years ago, the CRTC really tried to step it up and make things more fair for consumers. They reduced us in Canada from 3-year down to 2-year contracts. They capped the amount of data overage. They put in rules as far as what the telecoms could end up charging for unlocking. They said they have to offer unlocking at a fee after a certain amount of time. They said all these things to the consumer's benefit. And of course, naturally, everything went up because the companies went, well, you never said we couldn't raise our rates, so haha, we will have the last laugh. And so that's what they've done here is CRTC said, we're going to, again, stand up for the consumer. And after December 1st, you will be able to unlock your phone in Canada from your carrier for free. They are not allowed to charge for that service. And after that date, all phones must be sold unlocked, even the subsidy phones. All of them must be unlocked. So again, I'll reference back as a Canadian. I will say that more than likely, I'm just going to get screwed another way. That's the way it always works.
At least you're realistic about it.
Be realistic. They'll what is it? Rob Peter to pay Paul? Is that the saying? Is that still a thing? SP or the old one?
Oh. Back in my day, we robbed Paul to pay Peter.
Okay, sorry, I got that backwards. I'm sorry. I'm younger than 65, but so no, I think this is neat because at least the device will be unlocked. Like I said, I'll get burned some other way, but I'm okay. I'm a little bit okay with it as long as it's not too much because I just like the idea that we don't have to deal with this locked crap anymore. they're all unlocked. So when I do have an end of contract, I can just decide as I want. Or the thing is as well, if I switch my hardware partway through, I know that it'll be unlocked. Right now, what's probably going to happen, all of the phones that I bought under a different carrier than I've got now, I'll bet after December 1st, they won't be able to unlock it because it's not on their system anymore. So I'll probably be SOL. So I think that looking at the longevity of, backup phones and things like that, it's a nice thing to have. Now, you guys still have primarily locked devices, except for Verizon. Isn't that right?
I don't know because I'm all Verizon, so none of my stuff is locked.
Because I read that Verizon doesn't, but I thought that AT&T is still locked.
AT&T does, but I'm with AT&T, but I haven't bought a phone from AT&T in ages. I just buy unlocked like Nexus phones or things like that. But AT&T does have a provision in place that once you have paid off your phone, then they will unlock it for you. There's even a web tool to do it. So once the phone is paid off, it can be unlocked.
Okay. So it's sort of the idea of how we are right now. So it can be later. Okay. Interesting. The other thing that I think is kind of interesting about this is obviously in Canada, the demand is high enough that the CRTC decided that this was going to be their big next sticking point. And it is right now. I think they charge a $35 to $50 fee per carrier. So it's not too much, but it's just obviously something that is big enough that they decided that they were going to anger all of these telecoms. So that's interesting to me to see that people are caring that much about it right now.
All these devices really should be ubiquitous, in my opinion. They should go back and forth. And I know that's not the case because some use different cellular networks, so they might not be able to work with the same hardware. But there's no reason why they can't have duplicitous hardware now to do that, or some sort of communication protocol to switch back and forth between the two. It's just boggled my mind. I'm not a cellular expert, but the electronics and the protocols should be there pretty easily to be able to do that. I mean, 911 works everywhere, right? So these phones are communicating to each other's towers.
Well, I mean, the way it works is there's the different bands. You've got GSM that you see in like AT&T and T-Mobile. Then you've got CDMA, which you see in things like Verizon. They're different wireless standards, for lack of a better term, for communicating. So they communicate on those. They reach back to the towers. The towers then get you eventually routed to things. It's not as if my GSM is talking directly to the CDMA. There's a bridge in between, for lack of a better term, that makes that connection happen. And that being said, there are phones out there now, especially if you're a world traveler, that have multiple cellular modems in them, and it switches over depending on where you are. And I believe, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I'll check as we go on. I think the Pixel phone, it's on Verizon is where you can buy it in the United States. However, it works on any network there. So it is set up to do both CDMA and GSM on it. So that's kind of a universal phone. You just take it with you wherever you go or pop in a SIM to whatever company you're with, and it should work.
Yeah, well, up here in Canada, we've primarily just got GSM technology, so that we got rid of CDMA a long time ago. But aside from that, no, I agree, SP. It's the same. So let's just sell them that way. It's dumb, and I'm glad that Canada is doing that. Again, I'll pay for it some other way. But I wanted to share that because it was a pretty big thing up in Canada.
You'll pay for it by paying for the wall, by the way.
That's true. The wall is going to be built around the cell towers.
That's the most effective way to do it. That would prevent you from straying too far away from the cell towers.
Yeah. But let's go ahead and move on to SP's point. SP, what do you got?
Well, back 5 episodes ago, in a little off-put extra, we talked about the New Horizons probe, which is getting a new target. And we have an update on that. So this was an article in space.com. It was by Kala Cofield, which is a space.com staff writer. And they wrote in space.com that the MU-69 asteroid, which is the name of this asteroid that was discovered in 2014, is a flyby, and they needed to do some pre-reconnaissance to this. So what they did is they got all these telescopes together because this asteroid, this MU, I assume it's an asteroid, it's some sort of object of interest out there, was going to pass by a backlit star, and they were going to have a whole 2 seconds to view it and view anything around it in its immediate area. So this thing is so far out, it's 1 billion miles beyond Pluto. So you've got all the miles to go to Pluto, and then you get 1 billion miles beyond that. And as MU-69 is going, or as New Horizons is going towards MU-69, they're worried that it might actually bump into something like an orbital moon around it, or something like that, something that's in the general vicinity. Maybe it's actually 2 asteroids that broke apart, and they want to make sure the spacecraft stays safe and doesn't bump into anything at astronomical speeds, which would instantly kill it. And so they put together 54 telescopes, more than 24 stable telescopes, and then 25 portable telescopes in these areas that we're going to be able to view this transit, which is, by the way, is called an occultation. And these occultations, they can last a little bit. It depends on the orbital velocity between Earth and the asteroid and the star or whatever. In this particular case, it was 2 seconds. So the observations during the occultation allowed the scientists to scan the area for hazards that could damage the spacecraft, and the data could also give scientists information about the object's size, reflectivity, and other characteristics, kind of like the planet hunting that we do on Kepler and Hubble. So the feat was, quote, the most technologically challenging and complex stellar occultation observing campaign ever attempted. So this was a major thing. So New Horizons principal investigator Alan Stern, who works in the Southwest Research Institute in Boulder, Colorado, said, quote, the main goal of these observations was to research for hazard. The second objective was to try to glimpse the occultation of MU-69 itself to learn its precise size. Scouring all the dozens of data sets for these 2 objectives is going to take us a couple of weeks. Now, this flyby of MU-69 by New Horizons will take place on 1 January 2019, so it's about in a year and a half. And between now and then, just in the next couple of months, on July 10th and July 17th, there will be 2 chances for some occultations. On July 10th, they're going to actually use the SOFIA, which is the Stratospheric Observatory for Infrared Astronomy. And it's a joint project between NASA and the German Aerospace Center that consists of observation equipment that's mounted on a high altitude airplane. Basically, what they do is they cut up the top of the airframe, they put a bubble up there, and then they put some sort of telescope or sensor on top of it. So they're going to observe the July 10th event with SOFIA, which SOFIA has also been used to observe Pluto's occultations of background stars before as well. And then on July 17th, the New Horizons team will once again rely on the mobile and ground telescopes positioned in different regions that can see the object MU-69 as it's going by a particularly bright star, which should allow the researchers to see even more potential debris in the area around the object. So this is just amazing stuff, and it would never have happened had somebody not found this object, determined that it was going to be close to New Horizons as it went by, and then did some math and figured out what kind of stars it was going to go in front of. They don't know the firm orbit, by the way, of MU-69. They're only projecting little by little until they figure it out, because it's so far out. They haven't calculated its full orbit yet. So the fact that they were able to calculate these occultations right now is pretty amazing in itself. And it's just going to make for a better experience and really sense this thing. It could be just a dead rock in space. It could be something with a lot of ice around it. Maybe that will be where we all came from. Maybe that's where life began on MU-69. We don't know. Hopefully we'll find out on 1 January 2019.
I'm just glad they have a whole 2 seconds they get to look at it as it goes by.
2 seconds.
2 seconds. There's no margin for error.
No, imagine yourself taking a picture with your Pixel or your 6, Chris, and just forgetting to hit the button at the right time. That's basically what happened here, is that they all got data. All 54 telescopes worked. Now, they did all these telescopes because they didn't know if weather was going to obscure any of them. So they wanted to make sure that even with weather and the loss of like a third of them, they didn't say the loss risk on here, that they would still be able to get some realizable data. And they actually got all 54 data. There is no telling on July 10th and July 17th whether all of the telescopes involved will be able to sense the object MU69 because of weather or other factors. So this might be a one-shot deal here. We don't know. We'll know by the end of July, though.
So could it possibly be the Independence that's actually out there? You know, the shuttle from the movie Armageddon?
It could be.
Okay.
The shuttle from the movie Armageddon. The
Yeah.
shuttle.
Yeah,
The shuttle.
The shuttle that went...
The space shuttle.
The space shuttle that went down and apparently blew up with the asteroid. Because that was a documentary, right?
Yeah,
Yes, it
you
was
never
real.
know. I mean, if it's close to the center of the explosion, it itself could have been like in the eye of the storm, and it could have just been pushed off away. Because we all know that when they filmed Armageddon, they actually went to space to film it.
Right.
So
absolutely.
this could be a movie film object. This could be just a part of movie film history that's out there. That would be amazing. Yeah.
And I don't want to miss a thing. No more because of copyright. Okay.
And because my ears will bleed.
Thanks for that there, SB. And I can't wait for you to tell us all about how we find Bruce Willis. Okay, so next up in the Armageddon, you know, remember he got stuck?
Finding Bruce Willis.
Ben Affleck.
He could be Buck Rogers. He could be Bruce Willis in the 25th century.
There you go.
And the Bruce Willis we have now is just a clone or an LMG of the real Bruce Willis.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Well, moving on to our extra section here, we got a couple of quicker picks for you here. Number one, we're going to talk about how Facebook has apparently accidentally leaked content to terrorists. Yes, that's right. The Facebook moderators accidentally leaked a bunch of information, which has left some workers, of course, in the Facebook group a little bit cautious. Now, what happened was a bug in the company's software exposed the personal profiles of more than 1,000 workers across 22 departments. And this varies from people. Basically, they are the reviewers who see all the horrific things that get reported on Facebook. Because if you're not familiar with it, the thing that happens when you report something on Facebook is it actually goes to people to review. There is a system that helps kind of weigh it, so to speak, but it's actually being checked by people. So every time you report that thing that offends you, but is actually perfectly okay, you are wasting this person's time. And if you end up actually researching these moderators, you should, because you should realize how ridiculous your reporting is if it's just wasting these people's time. Because these people are not in the jobs very long because they have serious, legitimate mental trauma from the things that they see. Sorry, there's my rant. But yes, this happened and a bunch of information was leaked. So that's a little bit shocking.
People wonder why Stargate Pioneer is not on Twitter.
You're not on Twitter?
You're on Twitter?
I mean, Facebook.
SP's just written them all off because he's that upset.
Yeah. Well, see, what Facebook wants you to do is even if you have some sort of public persona, they want you to create a page which is linked to your real account. And that in this particular case, if some information was to leak, that would be able to tell the link between the page of the public persona and your real account where all your family information is and all that sort of stuff, your job information, if you choose to throw that on there, all of a sudden people can connect too many dots. And, you know, people wonder after I get kicked off by Facebook, who, by the way, in the kickoff process said, oh, what are your concerns? Oh, we have all these privacy things set up. Oh, don't worry. If you feel like you've been harassed, we can make sure that you use the security privacy information. Yeah, right. This is why Stargate Pioneer is not on Facebook.
Again, I will just say that they would not know that Stargate Pioneer was not indeed Bond Smith or James Smith. They wouldn't know that. So you just go ahead and make something up and just own it, and they would have no idea. But that's for you to scam Facebook on. Next up in our quick picks here that we've got, going to talk again about Canardia. That's right. Canada finally has Google Home. If you're not familiar with it, Google Home, Amazon Echo, all of these services are not available in Canada. If you want them, you have to bring them in from the States. I believe part of it is because of laws regarding bilingualism up in Canada, strict rules about French. I believe that's what causes it. But Google Home is coming to Canada finally. And now this is really surprising to me because they have beat Amazon's Echo service and device, which has been around for a lot longer. So it's very surprising to me that Google has beat Amazon up to Canada, which makes me wonder, does Amazon even care about coming up to Canada? Maybe that's something that they just don't even want to touch it. But yes, they have announced it's on pre-order right now. And if I wanted to pre-order it, I would get a free Chromecast. So they are actually trying to entice people with a free Chromecast.
Regular or ultra?
Regular, which is still up here. It's a $45 value in Canada.
Think the most important thing is not that Google Home has beat Amazon, but Google Home has beat the HomePod from Apple. I think that is definitely the higher of the two.
Well, the HomePod's not out yet.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not. Oh, it's really. So Apple doesn't actually have a device out there. Oh,
yeah. Actually, they do. You can use an Apple TV or a new iPad to be your HomeKit hub, basically.
But I don't want that. I want a little ball in the middle of my kitchen where I can say, the activation word. What's the weather like? Put this on my shopping list. That's the type of thing. Play this sort of music. Play this podcast. I want that in something that's going to listen to me and my family the entire time. So when a murderer comes in, we can actually subpoena that information so that we can tell who's talking. See,
have you ever dug into your Amazon Echo history and seen how it records it all? It's really creepy.
Especially when it gives one of the false positives and you hear what it is that got that and you're like, how the heck did this come in?
Yeah. The other thing that I find very interesting about this and kind of alarming for me as a Canadian is that obviously they have beat Amazon, which goes to show me that, yes, there is a degree of lack of caring by Amazon to get up to Canada. And I am right now with my Amazon Echo missing a whole bunch of features that you two use every day. And I have said right away, I would rather go Amazon over Google because they were quicker to support different things. They're more convenient because of the Amazon factor. There's a whole bunch of other reasons why. Plus the dot size. The dot size in itself is a massive reason. But if they're not going to come up here, I might have to consider Google Home because if it's the only one that actually supports features in my country, what other option do I have other than not using one? Or
move countries.
Yeah, or moving countries. But I was planning that until Stargate Pioneer put me on the no-fly list.
Oh, I was going to say, Steven, you could buy the house next to me. It's for sale. We could be neighbors.
Sweet. We could podcast still in separate rooms because I wouldn't want to get...
The basements line up perfectly. We'll just punch a hole in the wall behind me and put a door, and then we'll just go back and forth between each other's studios.
No. What we'll do is we'll put big glass windows in, so we'll be each other's backdrop.
There you go. That'd be great. This is what we're going to do, guys. It's going to be a great idea.
You better make sure that's soundproof because you're going to get a lot of crosstalk between those microphones if it's not.
Well,
that's a problem for our producer to figure out.
Let him figure it out.
Let that poor bastard do it. And I'm not doing it.
All right. Chris, what do we have for our last extra that we've got here?
Well, Steven, what we have for that, because I'd already scrolled past it, but I did see this today, and Steven graciously put the headlines in here. They're doing a deal right now. If you buy a Google Pixel XL phone right now from the Google store, you will get a Google Home for free with it. So if you've been looking to get a new cell phone or you've been looking to get a Google Home and you need a new cell phone, now might be the time to do it because you can save $109 basically by getting them both directly from Google.
So how do we take this? Do we take this as trying to boost the Google Home market by showing more people this? Or do we take this as we're not quite there yet. The S8 is out, but we want to still have people buying this stock and still talking about Pixel while they're thinking about the next version. Are they going to go with the Note or are they going to wait for the Pixel? And using this to entice people to think about the Pixel.
I know what they could do to have people talk about the Pixel is write software to overheat the battery to the point where they catch on fire. That would get people talking about it forever.
I feel like you're trying to get me to do a Note 7 watch, but that's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
I don't have the bump lined up.
Just the fact that you referenced it right now proves that the Note 7 Fire was PR. Yeah, it's not good PR or bad PR. It's all PR, right? It just depends on how you spin it. So if Pixel XL wants that sort of notoriety, they're going to have to do something like that.
This is just typical Google. Do something to get some good press out there. If you go and look at deals they've done on the Google Play Store before, they've done random bundlings of things. And really what this does is it gets people who are on the fence to jump. And let's be honest, the Pixel 1's at the end of its lifespan. They're probably trying to get the rest of the backstock cleared out, especially since they had so many problems up front getting them out to people. So they probably have a little bit extra now because people are just like, the hell with this. I can't get one. I'm going to go buy a Samsung, or I'm going to go buy an Apple or something like that. So my guess, mostly for the headlines and be like, hey, look at this cool thing Amazon's doing. It shows up on all the tech blogs because everyone's like, this is a great deal. And then they'll get some more phones sold out of the deal.
By the way, in the chat, we have Suncast, former guest on the show. It sounds more ominous that way. He said Samsung has new ads promoting its 8-point battery check.
That's true. I was going to say, we talked about the 8-point check on this show. I think Suncast was on the show for it.
Yeah, we did. We totally talked about it, but I think it's funny that they're promoting it now.
I have to.
So the only ones that do an 8-point check, which I don't think is true. I think the rest of them actually do a checklist too, but I thought it was more than 8. Or maybe that was just the testing parameters and their testing.
Oh, areas. It might have been. Yes, might have been. I don't know. But in any case, I think that it's comical. And I'll give you a nice idea about this relating it to something else. Right now, in the lower western section of the province of British Columbia, there is a massive milk recall on right now because of foreign material that was found. Foreign material was found, and they have not said what it is. And it has been a massive recall. Can you imagine if they come back from that and they started putting out ads? We have ourselves a 4-point milk production checklist. Like, it would be ridiculous. And the fact it's the same thing that Samsung's doing here. Ridiculous.
Maybe to the more technically inclined folks it is, but for those that just heard my Samsung phone blows up, oh no, this is kind of a, hey, we took care of this problem. Trust us, we're fixing it. We're not who that ad targets, Steven.
I guess so. I will still continue to be mad.
If you want a milk checklist, I can give you a milking checklist.
Oh no, please don't go where I think you're going with this.
In the barn. Yeah, I could do the whole thing from cleaning off the parts of the cow towards actually lubricating the parts of the cow to...
Hey, Fokker, I have nipples. Could you milk me?
I was waiting for it.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to a magic wand. What?
Ooh. Before I start the segment, I'd just like to say thank you, Steven, for playing my favorite bump before the segment I'm doing. I greatly appreciate it.
And we should also clarify, by the way, I said Fokker, F-O-C-K-E-R. Okay, let's make sure that that's very clear right now.
Yes, this was a meet the parents kind of joke. Now, I'm looking forward to seeing YouTube's transcription and seeing what it says you said then. So let's roll into the segment. You guys know I like gadgets. I like new toys. I like to play with tech. I've dabbled in all sorts of things. Home automation is one of those things I started dabbling in that then I got Steven hooked on, and he took it to an extreme that I haven't yet reached, but perhaps one day will. So I want to talk about a new toy that I just ordered late last week that came in over the weekend. It is Amazon Wand 2.0. And for those that aren't familiar, this is in fact the second iteration. There was an Amazon Wand before, and it was an intended device that basically hooked to your Wi-Fi network and gave you a barcode scanner so that if you were in your kitchen cleaning out your pantry or refilling your pantry and you ran out of, say, your granola bars you really like, you could take this device, scan the barcode on that, and then it would put it in your shopping cart on Amazon.com. If that sounds familiar, it's because it's kind of an extension of their Dash button program. And if you're not familiar with that, the Dash button program, we might have talked about it on here, I can't remember, but you can buy branded buttons like Brawny paper towels or Kool-Aid mix. And it's literally a little button that has 3M tape on it. You stick it somewhere, and when you run out of your Brawny paper towels, you hit the paper towel button, it places an order with Amazon, and 2 days later, you have paper towels show up at your house. So the Wand 2.0 is kind of an extension of that. But where it gets interesting is Wand 2.0 also includes, and if you're listening on an Amazon Voice Services device right now, I got to say the word once, it includes Alexa. And I'll try to make that the last time I say it so that no one else's device is triggered.
What was that word again?
Amazon Voice Services is what we're going to call it. It's the A word, Steven. It's the A word.
Amazon?
Yeah, it's one of them.
Do I have to censor you?
Yeah, sure, why not? So how did I find out about this deal? I am a frequent viewer of slickdeals.net because I like to try and find good deals and stuff I didn't know I need, and my pocketbook hates me for it. But I saw in there one morning, I woke up and they said, hey, there's the Amazon Wand 2.0. You can get it for $20. And I looked at it and I said, I don't know if I want that for $20. And then it said, if you order it now, you get a $20 credit in your Amazon account. And I paused and went, that basically makes this device free, because Amazon credits are basically just free money for me, because 90% of the stuff I buy comes from Amazon.com. And I went, okay, that sounds like a good deal. I clicked buy, also looked at it and said, hey, you get a 90-day trial to Amazon Fresh if it's available in your area. Sadly, not available in my area. For those of you guys that don't know what that is, that's basically Amazon's grocery service where you can order a bunch of stuff and have it delivered to your front door that same day, be it perishable items, be it canned goods, be it paper products, things like that. It hasn't reached me yet, but for those people that were in the regions where Amazon Fresh existed, they got the Wand for $20. They got a $20 credit, and they get 90 days of Amazon Fresh, which is about $15 a month is the cost. So Amazon's really pushing this device out there. Well, why? Well, it gets you buying more product from Amazon in the future. And it was also timed very well, because I think within a day of them pushing this product out there designed to make you buy groceries and products like that from Amazon, they announced that Amazon bought Whole Foods. So maybe we can see where this is going. They really want to get in to the cooking market and the food product market. So let's talk about the device itself. If you're watching on video right now, I'm holding it up right now. It's a small little device. The box it comes in, I'll hold that up. Also, very small, tiny little device. How does it work? Well, when you get it in, you have to open it up, and I'm going to pull this apart to try and show and hopefully not break anything in the process. You put 2 AAA batteries in it that are included with it. Okay. It powers on, you hold down a button, it turns bright orange, and then you read in the directions, it says, go to this website, and I can't remember the name of the website, and I left the paper upstairs, but you go there, and then it opens up your Amazon app to complete the setup, and it's pretty simple. You turn the Bluetooth on your device, you log in your Amazon app account through the Amazon app, it connects to this device via Bluetooth, and then passes your Wi-Fi credentials to it, and from that point on, it's a connected Wi-Fi device. So what does this do? Let's do the simple thing first. I talked about it before. You can scan barcodes. As an example here, I have a box of dryer sheets because I podcast in my basement, which is where my laundry room is. It was the easiest thing I could find that had a barcode. Barcode is right here as I hold it up to the camera. I can take this device, scan it with that, and it should beep here in a second. It's going to make a liar out of me, but as soon as that does beep, when I go to my Amazon account, sitting in my shopping cart will be a box of Bounce dryer sheets. It does not order for me, but it puts it in my shopping cart so that the next time I'm on there, an order can be placed for it. Kind of cool. You could see a use for it if you're in your kitchen. But why I was really interested in it is because, like I said before, this has Amazon Voice Services in it. It's Wi-Fi. I can go anywhere in my house and trigger simple things. And I don't even have to say the keyword to do it. I have to hit a button. What time is it? And now it's making a liar out of me. You know, this worked in pre-show, guys.
Sure it did. Sure
it did. Let's try a different one then. I dabble in home automation. I've done this before. Hopefully it works on here. I can tell it to turn lights off and on. Turn on the office light.
Is it not working?
It is literally not working. I had this working in pre-show with no issues. That's hilarious.
You should, you know what you should do?
You should out and back in.
Fire Amazon.
Fire Amazon. My free product is not working how I wanted, Amazon. I'm offended.
Okay, so tell us how it did work, because it could have like Maybe it heard you talking about it earlier or something, and it's censoring itself. Like we've seen the way that it's like the actual Amazon Echo device has been doing that.
Well, I don't think that's the case. I think I might be having a connectivity issue and I might need just to reboot it. But basically, it's as simple as if you want to buy something with the barcode scanner, you hit the button right here and scan it with the barcode. It scans it, and then you'll get a confirmation beep, and it shows up in your shopping cart. You could also just hold down the button, which is what triggers Amazon Voice Services, and say, buy paper towels, or buy Brawny paper towels, or buy Kool-Aid. Whatever you say then shows up in your shopping cart on Amazon. You have to still confirm before it orders. And then, of course, you can also use Amazon Voice Services to ask simple questions. There are a couple catches, though. No music playback through this, because remember, it's 2 AAA batteries powering this, so it could burn out pretty quick if you're trying to play music. And this is the one that astounded me, actually. No timers. They want this to be in a kitchen. That's presumably where you're going to use it the most, but there's no timer in it. It seemed a little strange to me.
Well, because you can take it somewhere else. Say you have to go to the restroom while you're cooking, and you take it in the restroom. All of a sudden, you're not going to be able to hear the timer, possibly, depending on how far the restroom is away from the kitchen. So I could see that. All the timers aren't linked, which I think would be an amazing thing, actually, is that the timers would be linked to all these devices so that the alarm would go off throughout the entire house if you wanted it. And I think that would be an improvement, and you'd get a timer on the wand there.
But how big is the wand, right? Because you're likely to carry the wand around with you.
It's about 5.5 inches long when I measured it in the pre-show.
So really, like, you could put it in a pocket or something. So it's not unrealistic to keep it on you.
No, and it comes with a hook so that you can hook it on something. And actually, the device itself is magnetic. So in my house, I just slap it up on the refrigerator, and that's where it stays in my house. And I did reboot this, and it is working again. So as an example, remember, I do home automation. Turn on the office light.
Okay.
And now my office light's on behind me.
Nice.
Turn off the office light.
Okay.
And
That's
then we'll
awesome.
go something simpler. What time is it?
The time is 9:40 p.m.
So it's that simple. You just hold down the button, and that uses Amazon Voice Services to do stuff. So for basically what was a free product for me, it's kind of a cool toy to play around with. It's become a portable way to control my house, because remember, I've even got this plugged into my TV. If I really wanted to, I could tell her to turn the TV on upstairs and freak people out. It's kind of a cool little party trick. I've enjoyed it. Now, a couple catches right now, though. They're sold out. These went fast. They were open to Prime members only. Last time I looked on there, it said they were back ordered, temporarily out of stock for a while. I'm sure they'll come back, but I don't know if the promo will come back where they're giving you $20 store credit when you buy one of these. And yes, I already burned the $20. It worked perfectly. There was no problem. So in effect, this was a free device for me. And for a free device that ties into all of my home automation and does simple stuff, kind of enjoyed it. Would I pay $20 for it? I don't know. If you have a use case and you don't have dots throughout the house like me, it might be worthwhile. But if you live in a house where you've basically set it up so anywhere you talk, you have an Amazon device listening to you to do whatever you tell it to, it's not quite as essential.
It's interesting because the whole dash button thing, again, is not up here, but I can see why they would do this and why they would want to basically give it away for free. There's probably a reason they have to do it in the way that they do with the $20 credit, but you pay $20. Like, there's probably a reason for that, but I think that it's not a bad concept for people who don't want a bunch of echoes around the house, or they just want to be able to move something from room to room. I don't have a lot of experience with, reading about the dash, but could you just recap? You don't have any dashes, right?
I don't have a single dash in my house. When something goes into my cart from this, it does say it was done by Dash. So they're using the same infrastructure and the same code probably of some kind that they use for Dash to put items in your cart and to do that in this device. They're just using a barcode to figure out what it is versus a specified this button equals this product.
Now, I only have one dash myself, and it's actually right behind me right now, and it's my new host dash. So just to recap, you push the dash button and you get yourself a new host. So I'm just going to do that right now. I'm going to push the button. Oh, there we go. We're perfectly, just perfect. We have ourselves a brand new host on the show. So there we go. So that's awesome. That worked quite well.
Oh, it didn't stick. You better hit the button again.
Push it again.
I'm back.
Push it back. It's you know what? It's the Canada thing. There
You
we
gotta
go.
hold the
Yeah,
button
we're good.
down, I think, to
We're
make it
good.
work.
We're good now. It's just because it's unsupported in Canada. It's a temporary feature before Amazon says no, you're not allowed it. So
Yeah. One thing I would love to find out on this device, and nobody's going to know yet, but is how long these two AAA batteries work with just incidental usage, meaning I scan a few things to add to my cart. I use Amazon voice services for a couple simple tasks here and there. This has got Wi-Fi that's always connected. And it's got a Bluetooth chip that's probably turned off unless it's needed. How long on a low energy Wi-Fi will two AAA batteries hold out for me? That I don't know. It'll be
Ooh.
interesting.
So you could Bluetooth connect it to your phone, go out to a store, and then just scan stuff while you're in the store?
I don't think it works that way. Their use of Bluetooth in it, at least I'm assuming it's Bluetooth. They could be doing an ad hoc Wi-Fi, but I think it's Bluetooth, is basically just to set up the Wi-Fi network this is going to connect to. That's why I think it's using Bluetooth to connect your phone or your tablet to this just to set that up. I'm not 100% sure. I need to go and do research on it. I know I had Bluetooth on my phone and it didn't crash when I tried to do it. And when I did it on my iPad, I had Bluetooth off and the app crashed during the setup process. So that's why I think it's probably using Bluetooth for that.
So the way that you could easily determine that would be to just boot yourself off of Wi-Fi and see if it still worked, right? Like if you
Right.
boot your phone, or sorry, just killed your Wi-Fi network.
Yeah. And that's something I might try, and it'll be interesting. Or it's $20. I'll order another one and deconstruct it, or wait until the folks at iFixit have done it, because I'm sure they'll take one apart soon too.
It's a neat concept. Again, we don't have it up here, but if we did and we had it up here, I absolutely would have bought one just like you did, because for that deal, that's an incredible deal.
Yeah, it was basically free, so I said, what the heck? And like I said, in my circumstances, I don't think I would pay $20 for it, but if I were in other circumstances where I just was starting to dabble with wanting to use Amazon voice services and dabble with home automation tied into that, it's a cheap way to extend it. I mean, it's less than half the price of a Dot. Now, the trade-off is you have to trigger this. It doesn't listen to you until you tell it to.
Some people would argue that is a plus. So
That's a feature, not a bug.
Exactly. No, actually, I didn't think about that, but absolutely, I think some people would prefer that.
Quite possibly. But like I said, I've enjoyed it, and for free, good job, Amazon. Hell of a promo.
SP, you are the other Amazon Echo guru on this podcast, because again, my left arm's cut off here because I'm in Canada. Why didn't you buy one?
I don't do a heck of a lot of grocery shopping over Amazon, and the stuff that I do buy is through my account. And there's also a bunch of family members that I know would go crazy with that. So I prefer definitely a separation there. And once it's just me and no kids in the house, then maybe. But right now, no.
So what SP is saying is he doesn't want to come home from work one day and see like an Xbox and a PlayStation sitting on the front step that someone's told this Dash to order. And he's like, what the heck is this?
Pretty much. I turned the ordering off on the actual devices, the Echo devices.
One last note I had that I forgot to bring up. I touched on it real quick. I said it came with that 90-day trial to Amazon Fresh. I think that's the real thing this is designed to play nicely with, is that service where you buy almost all of your groceries direct from Amazon. They deliver them to you. I could see that being great if you're in the kitchen and you're getting ready to cook that evening. You're like, oh, I'm missing paprika and I need green peppers and red peppers and ground beef. And you could just use this device to have that added and then click the buy button on your phone. I could see a lot of utility with that. Now, sadly, not in an Amazon Fresh area, but I really think that's why they're pushing this, and that's why you get a 90-day trial of that service.
One of the grocery stores around here, and might be more than one, but the one that I go to is actually enacted this shopping service where you order the stuff and then they go around with these shopping carts with multiple different crates in them. They buy everything, or they throw everything in there that you want. I don't know how they actually check out. It might be electronic through the scanning device or whatever. And then they wait out at the curb and you just go drive there and you get it. I think also for an extra charge to deliver to you. I've never used it, so I don't know that for sure. They clog the aisle ways is what the problem is, because they're just huge carts with all these little crates in them. So
SP, it's hilarious to me that you mentioned that, because literally on my tab on my monitor over here, is my groceries that I'm going to order through my grocery store and pick up tomorrow after work using that exact same service, because they sent letters out to all customers like, you can try this 3 times for free instead of paying the service fee. And I was like, you know what? This is going to save me some time. I'm going to see how well it works. I don't necessarily trust them when it comes to fruits and vegetables, though, because I'm pretty picky and I'm like, oh, that's a piece of crap pepper. I don't want that. Let me get this one that's really good.
Yeah.
Right.
Albert Sims in chat says, I'm old fashioned, prefer to wander the aisles at the store. I am partially there. I agree. Sometimes it's nice, but on the other hand, I usually go when I'm hungry, and we know where that always ends up.
If it's dry goods, I could definitely see using a service like that, but I'm with Chris. If it's something that's perishable, I want to be able to see it before I buy it. Even if I do see some stuff like strawberries, there could be some on the bottom of the thing that I just don't take a close look at that are already moldy. And I want to be able to make that mistake myself versus having somebody else to do it.
Especially blueberries.
Especially them.
Oh, blueberries are the worst.
Yeah. So.
Now, from my perspective on, I look at it this way. I'm what I call an extroverted introvert, if that makes sense. I don't like people all that much sometimes. And this makes it so that I can hit the order button tomorrow before I go to work and say, I'm going to pick them up sometime between 5 and 6 and just go to the grocery store on my way home, pull up, open the back of my car. They'll load it in. They'll bring a device. I'll swipe my credit card and call it a day. It's a convenience factor. And hey, 3 free tries. We'll give it a few tries and see if it works. I don't know if I'll pay the $5 for that service in the future.
Dane in the chat brought up, I think it would be a good service for the elderly. And I absolutely would agree with that. With my mother-in-law, who doesn't drive anyway, it would be great for her to be, well, she's not online either, but if for somebody like her that could order it and then go and just pick them up and not have to get out of their car. That's why we have drive-through pharmacies. That's why we have drive-through dry cleaning, is for people that are immobile and just doesn't make sense for them to have to get out and go do it. For me, I like the exercise, getting out, walking around, getting my own stuff in and out. That's the sort of thing that I like to do. But I know a lot of people, they just can't. So services like this are great.
Because you like to go to the produce section and check out some melons.
I do. I like the melon, the muskmelon or the cantaloupe. It depends on what part of the country you are in, or countries, what you call them. In watermelon, I like that as well. So yeah, there's a lot of melon to buy in the produce section.
But that is going to take us to the end of the show. Thanks very much for that there, Chris. I think that that's a fantastic, very timely review. We're not usually that timely on this show, but thanks for that. That's awesome. And I hope that some other people check it out, because I think that this product actually has huge potential. Absolutely huge potential. So thanks, Chris.
Oh, thank you.
But before we do wrap up, I just want to remind everybody that we're part of the Gonna Geek Network. I know, the GonnaGeek.com show, part of the Gonna Geek Network. You're saying to yourself, since when? Well, it's a new thing for us. We joined not too long ago. And also on the Gonna Geek Network is one of our latest additions called Head in the Cloud podcast, which you can find at GonnaGeekNetwork.com or in headinthe.cloud. Which, by the way, +1 right there, because you know me and my lovely domains that I like to have, the geeks.live, the geeks.link. I love all these things. So check out Head in the Cloud episode 9, called The Different Colors of Security: Black, White, Red, Blue, Gray, and Purple. So many colors in security, but what do they all mean? John takes a look at each and explains how they relate to information security. If you are into tech, if you love tech stuff and security and cloud stuff, check out this podcast. I am so happy when I saw John apply to the network, and I love it. I'm subscribed to this show. It is a fantastic show. Please check that out.
Check it out, indeed. And then go to the network page. You will see a variety of new shows on the network. So we're not just stagnant. We're not going backwards here. We're actually going forwards. And thank you to everybody who's applied to the network. And thank you very much to those who have accepted our invitation to join as well. There will be more announcements to come.
But
tease.
That is the end of episode 197 of the official GonnaGeek.com show. I'm Stephen Jondrew, pushing my new host button as fast as I can.
And I'm Stargate Pioneer, thinking of getting rid of another host on another show right now.
I got replaced.
Bye.
Thanks for checking out another episode of the GonnaGeek.com show. If you enjoyed it, please give us a 5-star review in iTunes or a thumbs up on YouTube. We encourage you to send your feedback by email to show@GonnaGeek.com. You can find our entire archive at GonnaGeek.com/show. And while you're there, why not check out all of the other geeky content on the Gonna Geek Network? Want to chime into our live chat? Join us Mondays at 8:45 p.m. Eastern at www.geeks.live. The music heard on this show is by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com. This show was produced and edited by Stephen Jondrew of Gonna Geek Productions. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you again next week.